Edgar Allan Poe, possibly one of the most famous poets to have ever lived, was born on January 19th, 1809. From the beginning, Edgar Allan Poe has struggled. When Poe was only a year old, his father left him and his mother just up and left and completely abandoned them. And shortly after, his mother died from tuberculosis. And he was put up for adoption. And with his adopted family in England, Poe received a top-notch education and was actually the first graduating class of the University of Virginia. When Poe married, he lost his wife soon after to tuberculosis. Many of Poe's poems are very dark and twisted, but when you look back at the major events in his life, you start to realize where this darkness came from. Throughout Poe's career, he produced roughly 50 poems. This number is actually pretty low for many modern-day authors, or any poets of that time even. But when you look at the amount of light that many of them get, and the recognition that most of them get, you realize how successful his career actually was. Every single one of his poems is a best-known poem, and is still being used today. One of Poe's more famous works of art is The Fall of the House of Usher. The poem is specifically designed to give you a feeling of depression and regret, and it's creepy in every way. The most uncomfortable of all the stanzas is the final one, in which it says, "In the end, he patiently waits for Madeline and dies." The way he represents most characters in his entire spectrum of poems is just creepy, and the way that he carries his words is amazing, and it is incredible how simple words on paper can creep you out that much. Poe's work is still being used today, and is comparable to the works of famous director Tim Burton. The creepy and spine-tingling way of telling a story is still a popular one, and has possibly even become even more popular in the last few years. As people's sense of humor changes and evolves, and they start to become more interested in the deep and dark and twisted, his work tends to become more and more important in representing the Gothic style of writing. And that is why he is still known today, because he was one of those first Gothic writers.